So yesterday, I made a video about this ancient Sumerian artifact, which dates to 2500 BC. And it talks of a king who was he was the grandfather of the first emperor in history. And it also has his son, who was the father of the first emperor in history. That's this guy here. His name is a Kurgal. And I gave you some information. I said that these are all of his sons, all of his kids, and this is a snake charmer, and that this is the king himself. But I didn't actually explain, as I usually do, how I know this and why we know that this is the king and these are his sons, and how we know all of their names. So I thought I would just explain that in this video. Also, if you watch my videos and you enjoy my videos, can you do me a favor, if you don't mind, just repost the video? I'd really appreciate that. So these are the inscriptions that we see upon there, and I'm going to explain them to you. I'm being very lazy today. I'm sure you can tell I'm laying down. I haven't really slept much, so what it says is, it says Yor-Nanshe Lugal Lagash, and that's who the king is. It says Yor-Nanshe Lugal, the king of Lagash. Lugal, FYI, is a very rare term to be used to describe the ruler of Lagash. Lugal is a very common term in Sumerian grammar in general, but for the ruler of Lagash, it's actually quite a rare title. You don't often see that. But anyway, this is also how we know that the first king of the first dynasty of Lagash, Yor-Nanshe, probably wasn't from a royal bloodline. And that's because these next two lines tell us who his father and his grandfather are. It says Dumu, Gunidu, Dumu, Gorsar, which means the son of Gunidu and the son of Gorsar. So Gunidu was his father and Gorsar was his grandfather, and they don't have any titles like Lugal or Ensi. So likely not of a royal bloodline, and there's no record of how he ascended to the throne, so we can only guess. And then it goes on to tell us about his building projects. He was a prolific builder by all accounts, and it says a Ningirsu, that's the temple of Ningirsu, Mudu, was built. A Nanshe Mudu, the temple of Nanshe, was built. Nanshe is not to be confused with the name Yor-Nanshe. This is the name of the historical king Yor-Nanshe, and he's being named after the goddess Nanshe. So this is the temple of Nanshe was built. And then it says Abzu Banda was built. Abzu Banda would have been another temple was built. And then it goes on again and it says Yor-Nanshe, the king of Lagash, Yor-Nanshe Lugal Lagash. And then the next three lines says Mah Dilmun Kurta Gunyesh Mugal, which means the boats from the mountains of Dilmun produced plenty of timber. The boats from the mountains of Dilmun produced plenty of timber. And then we have Enita. This down here could be the name of one of his kids, but I'm not too sure. It could mean, I think it could be saying that what follows now are the name of all his children, because Atu is usually used for strength or wage or some other polyvalent values, but it's also homophonic with A, which can mean semen, and we have the third person possessive and the ablative, so it could be saying from his seed. I think it might be saying that. It's a possibility. Anyway, either or, these are now telling us, this is now telling us the name of his kids. And it says his son is called Abda. One of his sons is called Abda, and this is a Kurgal. This was the one who ascended to the throne, as attested on other inscriptions. He was the father of the first emperor in history, and he was his child or his son. And then it says Lugal Ezim, that was the name of his other child. And then it says Anikora, that's the name of another one of his kids. And then we have I forget which order this goes in. Muku Shibata. Muku Shibata is the name of one of his sons. And then Sang Dingirtuku is one of his sons. And this line tells us of a snake charmer. The snake charmer could be one of his sons. It might very well be. But it just says Baloo or Balul, the snake charmer. But considering it's in context with all of his other sons, and he's on the main plate with his sons, the snake charmer could very well be one of his sons. And it says Anumpa, son, Men Usu, son, and then it says Abanda, his son. Yeah. So that is that. That is how we know. If you don't mind, if you spare a second, share the video for me.